Hi everybody, it is Cassie with 62 Handcrafted, and tonight I am working on something new. I got challenged this morning on Facebook Messenger. A friend reached out and said, hey, sent me a picture, video, and said, can you make one of these? And I'm like, I don't know, let me try. So got home from work tonight and jumped in, made a couple already, and you're going, what is this? What is this? Multi-purpose. It could be a wristlet, which is awesome, and you can attach it to one of those little wallets. So fun. Dun, dun, dun. You could do that, or you can attach it to your handbag. And you know how you go into a restaurant and you have to take a sweater, take it to a restaurant and you put it over your handbag and it like slides off and it's all big and bulky right up at your shoulder, depending on how big your purse is. Well, solution. Take your sweater, put it about halfway through, and you click this onto your purse. Now it hangs down a little lower. It's not all bulked up. It's not going to fall out. Like, so cool. Well, let's make some. I'm going to do one real quick and walk y'all through what you need, how to make it for friends and teachers, and any woman in your life is going to need one of these. Okay, this is what we're going to make. So you're going to need the hardware, which is, I'm going to say that is a 1.5 inch hook that you're going to need. You're going to need a zipper. This one, the last couple I did at 18. I'm going to cut this at 16 and try that because I feel like it's a little long for me. Now, that doesn't mean it won't work for you. I use zipper by the yard, and I'm using black because the material I have is black. You're only going to use one side of this. So out of that 16-inch zipper you just cut, you're going to get 2 of those wristlet sweater keepers, okay? All right, so we have that at 16. I'm going to trim my material back to 16. For this project, your material needs to be 2 inches wide and anywhere from 16 to 18. This one that I made, because what happens is you get this extra 1.5 inches that you add on for a tab to hook onto your hardware, and it ends up making it altogether 9.5 inches long, which that's pretty long, hanging off of what I carry is a very small handbag. If you carry a large purse, this is going to be perfect. So 18 inches or 16. I'm going to try this at 16 and we'll see what happens. Okay, so you have 2 inches by 16, 18. You're going to fold in. We're going to make our little material taco. So center fold. You're going to bring the bottom up to the center, top down to the center, and then fold them in on each other. And you have your material taco. That's what I call it. And then what you're going to do is take your zipper and feed it into the center of that material taco that you just made. What I'm going to do is pin it. I have not tried taping it. I do think taping would work. However, 18 inches, 16 inches front and back of material of tape is a lot of tape to use. So I am just using some straight pins, you know, old school. Let's do it. This up. I am going to do it so that my pins are easier to pull out, and we're going to go this direction. We're going to put it in. And I'm just going to run my foot right up against the edge of my zipper. Take my first pin out. We are going to go ahead and do, I'm just going to kind of give this a little pull, a couple of stitches, then back stitch. And that is that. I'm going to trim this off so it's nice and even. And same thing over here, get it even with the zipper. Actual zipper. Let me get all the things out of the way. And then literally all you're going to do is bring these 2 up, and yeah, that's going to be plenty because we're going to add on to the end of it. And we are going to do a zipper pull of black. All right, so we have our black. We're going to use our gunmetal hardware for this one. I think I used silver on this one and the gunmetal on this one. And I think I like this with the black a little bit better. The silver is great, but I think this just kind of blends in and doesn't stand out. Awesome. Actually, no, I'm gonna stay with it. Go with your gut. Go with your gut. And we are gonna do the black. So we're gonna put our zipper on. And get that in there. And I'm making sure that I have this zipper on the front and not facing the back. Okay, so we have that on front. The back is flat. You can see a difference, just so you guys can kind of tell. That is the front of your zipper. And you know what I didn't do? I did not check it to make sure that I caught both sides all the way. I did. Yay, I did. Okay. So now you're going to take your 4-inch by, well, actually I did this like a little over 4 by 5 inches. And you are going to create, you're going to do pretty side facing down, and about 1/2 inch you're going to fold over and finger crease press, whatever you want to call that. 1/2 inch on the other side. We're doing both. And then we're going to wrap it around we're going to do pretty sides together, and we want to have the folded pieces in the back. So we're doing the front of the zipper facing down, and we're going to fold. We're going to take this to the top. The zipper is going to go up to the top of your material. Get it up there. All right, and then you're going to fold this over. What I'm looking for is to have that about the center of the zipper. And I'm going to give it a little tug so that it's nice and flat up against the edge. And then we'll bring this one over. And to me, that's still a little long. I just want that to fold over a little bit. So I'm going to trim that a little bit more. We're going to take this down to about 4 inches. I was just afraid to make it too short. Okay, so let me fold this back over. So we have 1/2 inch, pretty side is down, 1/2 inch fold on each side of that. Then we are going to pretty sides together, and we're putting our zipper at the top of this. We're gonna bring this over. And bring that over. Basically, we're just folding each side into the center of the zipper. You do want one to fold over just slightly. Let me show you what I got here. So this outer one is going to fold over the inner one just a little bit. We've got our zipper right up to the edge. And we are just going to sew right about, I don't know, 1/4 inch. Sew that down. Let me get that stuck underneath there. And I start in just a little bit so that it does catch the material. And then we're going to back stitch. And I'm going to back stitch over the zipper just because it's going to get a little bit of action. And back stitch at the end. Pull that out, and again we did right sides together, so we have the pretty sides of the material together, and then we pull this, ta-da, and it just turns out great. And the nice thing about this is everything is already folded over on top of itself. Folded in. All you're doing now is I'm going to stitch this so it holds and doesn't move around. So I'm going to do a little stitch at the end just to keep it all in place. is just a hold stitch, so I'm not worried about back stitching on this. We're going to put our hardware on, and this is where I always have to think just a little bit about how I want to do this. What I have found is that if you just take it right to where the hardware is going to be, and what I mean by that is that you're folding it over so that the fold ends up right where this is. So you're matching that up and making sure that it is all inside. Now what we're going to do is stitch this side. I'm going to keep it really close to the hardware, and I'm going to start in excuse me, just a little bit and do a couple of stitches, and then I will back stitch. And it really is that easy. You're done. Got your square, the zipper. So cute.